Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a simple summer barbecue could change everything I thought I knew about my marriage. My name is Oliver. I'm 34, and I've been married to Maisie for 10 years. We'd always had a relationship that felt stable, predictable, the kind that people around us admired for its calm steadiness. Not flashy, not loud, but solid. I liked it that way. Routine felt safe. We had routines. Sunday pancakes, late-night walks, sharing playlists, and laughing over inside jokes only we understood. Maisie had always been the spark in the room. Outgoing, witty, effortlessly magnetic. She made friends everywhere she went. I was quieter, careful with my words, but dependable. That balance had worked for years. Or at least I thought it did. That Saturday, the neighborhood was alive with summer energy. Grills sizzling, kids running around sprinklers, music playing softly in the background. I was flipping burgers while Maisie chatted with our neighbors. Her friends, familiar faces from work and social gatherings, were scattered around the yard. Among them, I noticed Juniper, one of Maisie's closest friends, standing slightly apart, sipping her lemonade. Funny, clever, and genuinely warm, Juniper had always been easy to talk to, and I liked her company. Then Maisie dropped it, completely out of nowhere. Her voice carried over the laughter and sizzling of the grill. "We have an open marriage now," she declared as casually as if she'd said, "Pass me the ketchup." I froze. My spatula hovered midair, and I felt the heat of the grill fade as my mind tried to process what I'd just heard. My heart pounded, but there was also a strange detachment, like I was watching someone else's life unfold. "You're serious?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, though I could feel the tension building. "Yes," Maisie said, smiling, brushing back her hair, as if this were the most normal thing in the world. "We agreed it's healthy, exciting. No pressure, just freedom. We're adults, Ollie. Don't be scared." Scared? That barely scratched the surface. I wasn't scared. I was shocked, confused, hurt, sure, but also curious. Part of me had always wondered if the predictable rhythm of our marriage had dulled something essential in both of us. And now she was offering me an opportunity, one I hadn't imagined, and one that felt forbidden, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. We continued through the barbecue, smiles and small talk plastered over the awkward tension that seemed to hang between us. But I couldn't stop thinking about Juniper. The idea surfaced quietly, almost shyly. Maybe I could ask her out. Maybe this was my chance to explore something new, something I hadn't allowed myself to consider before. Later that evening, as the last of the guests left and the yard quieted, I found myself standing near the garden, trying to imagine how I'd even bring it up. Juniper laughed softly at some joke Maisie had made, her eyes sparkling. I swallowed hard and approached her. "Hey, Juniper," I began, voice low, careful. "Would you maybe want to grab coffee sometime? Just the two of us." Her smile faltered slightly, and for a heartbeat, the world slowed. And then, behind me, Maisie's reaction hit me like a cold wave. Her usually bright face had drained of color, her eyes wide. "No," she whispered, almost a hiss. "You can't." I turned slowly to look at her, trying to read what had just happened. Shock, confusion. Was it anger, fear, or something else entirely? Maisie's hand trembled slightly as she held a paper plate, her lips pressed tight. I felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Here she was, the same woman who had told me we were free, the same woman who had promised this openness. Yet at the first hint that I might actually explore it, she crumbled in a way I hadn't expected. I took a step back, trying to steady myself. My mind raced, flipping through every conversation, every subtle hint, every smile, every passing remark. Had this been about Maisie's control? About her curiosity? About jealousy she wasn't ready to admit? Or had I misread everything, thinking freedom was real when it had limits she hadn't explained? Juniper glanced between us, her expression unreadable, a quiet tension settling over her features. I could feel her curiosity, and perhaps relief, that I hadn't recoiled or panicked. She gave me a small, uncertain nod, a silent acknowledgement that this was complicated. Maisie turned toward the house, shoulders stiff, and I realized this wasn't just a passing moment of awkwardness. Something deeper was happening, a shift that would alter the way I understood her, myself, and our marriage. The comfortable predictability we had lived in for a decade had fractured in an instant, leaving a strange, charged space between us, full of possibility, fear, and unspoken rules that neither of us had yet articulated. I stood there, spatula forgotten, heart racing, trying to reconcile the image of the woman who had promised freedom with the one now staring at me, as if I'd crossed an invisible line. For the first time in years, I didn't know where we stood. The night settled over the house, but I couldn't sleep. The words Maisie had spoken replayed in my mind. We have an open marriage now, and yet, her reaction when I acted on it had been anything but open. Confusion, curiosity, and anger tangled together in a knot I couldn't untie. I kept thinking about Juniper, about the coffee, about the unspoken rules that suddenly seemed more like invisible walls. The next morning, Maisie was distant. Breakfast was quiet, save for the clinking of utensils and the hum of the refrigerator. I decided to confront the situation head-on. Sitting across from her at the kitchen table, I said, "Maisie, I need to understand. Are we free to see other people? Or was that just talk?" She sighed, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "Oliver, I thought I could handle it. I thought I wanted it too. But seeing you actually ask her out, it made me realize I'm not ready for this. Not emotionally. Not yet." Her words hit me in a way I hadn't expected. A part of me had anticipated resistance, but not this vulnerability. Her voice was soft, almost fragile, and I realized this wasn't about controlling me. It was about her confronting her own limits. I nodded slowly, trying to steady my own emotions. "I get it. I needed to try. I needed to see if this was something I actually wanted, or if I'd been curious about the idea without realizing what it meant." Maisie looked up at me, her eyes glossy. And I do want it," I admitted. "But not at the cost of what we have. I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to hurt us." For a moment, silence filled the room. It was the kind of silence that felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for someone to break it. Maisie's shoulders relaxed slightly, and she finally smiled, the warmth returning to her face. "Maybe we rushed it," she whispered. "Maybe we should slow down, talk more, figure out what we're actually comfortable with before doing anything." I reached across the table, placing my hand over hers. "Agreed. No rush, no pressure, just honesty." Over the next few days, the tension slowly eased. Juniper remained in the periphery, aware of the situation but careful not to step into it. Maisie and I had long, sometimes awkward, but always necessary conversations. We defined boundaries, expressed fears, and explored the unspoken desires that had been simmering beneath the surface of our marriage. And then came the evening that changed everything. Not in a dramatic, fiery confrontation, but in a quiet, intimate clarity. We were sitting in the backyard, twilight settling over the garden. Maisie leaned against my shoulder, and I realized that our connection, though shaken, hadn't broken. It had evolved. "I was scared," Maisie admitted softly. "Scared that if we opened this up, we'd lose each other. Scared I wouldn't be enough for you." "You've always been enough," I said. "Maybe this isn't about adding someone else. Maybe it's about seeing what we already have with fresh eyes, appreciating it instead of taking it for granted." Her head tilted slightly, and she smiled. "You're right. Maybe we just needed a wake-up call, a reminder of why we chose each other." And in that moment, I understood something profound. Freedom in a marriage isn't just about seeing other people or breaking boundaries. It's about honesty, communication, and trust. The ability to confront desires, fears, and curiosities without destroying what matters most. Maisie and I had been thrown into an unexpected, uncomfortable experiment, but instead of shattering us, it revealed the depth of our bond. I never did go out with Juniper. The thought crossed my mind, But each time, I felt the pull of loyalty, of history, of the shared life we'd built together. Instead, I chose to explore the new dimension of my marriage with Maisie. We tried new things, yes, but mostly we relearned each other, discovering nuances we hadn't noticed in 10 years of comfort and routine. Weeks later, at another neighborhood gathering, someone asked me if I felt jealous or restricted by the idea of an open marriage. I smiled faintly, glancing at Maisie across the yard. "No," I said, "not restricted, not jealous, just aware, and more connected than ever." Sometimes freedom isn't about doing everything you want. Sometimes it's about understanding what you truly value and choosing it consciously. Maisie caught my gaze, a small grin playing on her lips, and I realized that the ordeal had strengthened us. The vulnerability, the confusion, the confrontation. It all led to clarity, intimacy, and a deeper respect for each other. That summer, the BBQs continued. Laughter filled the air, children ran and screamed, and grills sizzled as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Maisie and I weren't just a couple going through the motions. We were partners navigating uncharted waters, learning to balance curiosity and commitment, freedom and loyalty. And for the first time in a long while, I felt the spark. Not the fireworks I had once expected, but something steadier, deeper, more enduring. The kind of connection that doesn't demand permission, doesn't need rules written in haste, and doesn't falter at the first sign of temptation. The kind that whispers quietly, insistently, that love, real, resilient, patient love, can survive even the most unexpected storms.